Sabrina 70s comic issue 31. The story starts out with Sabrina telling Ambrose to come help because something's happened to Hilda. And as a witch, she can't possibly help. Hilda complains that she hates winter. Her broom iced up over the parkway and she crash landed in someone's barbecue pit. Hilda says that she's had it with this winter, and Sabrina says that she ought to go south for a while. That was more responsible than suggesting that she make it not be winter anymore, which every mortal would notice and question. She refuses to let winter run her out of town, and she wants to get rid of winter entirely. And Ambrose says amusingly, "You've gone bananas, Hilda," and says that not even witches are powerful enough to get rid of an entire season, rather than saying you wouldn't be allowed to do it. Witches can time travel. I'm pretty sure they could make it so that the planet isn't tilted on its axis. She says that she's only going to change the climate around her house. Oh yeah, that won't get anyone suspicious. That won't get climatologists busy. Ambrose just says that she can't do that because it's crazy. Finally, he says it'll attract too much attention. But Hilda says, who cares? I kinda like that attitude. She just does what she wants. She wants it to always be summer around her house, as I wonder when Dell's gonna come in and stop her. Oh, Sabrina actually points this out. Right after Hilda attracted a bunch of attention from the mortals, Della showed up. So why didn't she show up every time Sabrina or Hilda made it really obvious that they're witches? I guess it makes sense that she'd only show up here because this is unexplainable and would require constant brainwashing to keep mortals from questioning it every day. Hilda says that she's paid her dues, and it's about time she got treated with respect. Surprisingly, Della says, okay. She says that she'll give her her eternal hot weather, but only inside the house. And Hilda's somehow happy with this, when it was the winter outside the house that made her angry. I guess the reason Della made the house as hot as a jungle was to punish Hilda. But that'd be more clever of her, so I wish she made that more obvious instead of saying it was a compromise. In the next story, at first I thought it was Hilda insulting Harvey, but it was actually Sabrina, who says that Harvey was calling names like a spoiled brat. But why? I'd like to know the actual context. Hilda says that knowing Sabrina, she'll be sorry she's mad at him by this afternoon. I don't take her seriously. Then Sabrina says out of nowhere that he was calling Hilda names. Why did she say that? Clearly it would just get Hilda mad. Then she says a lot of insults about Hilda that seem overly clever for Harvey, when an idiot would just say she was skinny. That's not name calling, that's just him saying a lot of things about her appearance. What took him so long? It seems like it's making her out of character, but it does make more sense that he always thought that about her and was just too polite to say it to people's faces. So the story ends with Hilda calling out for Harvey outside his house, as I'm just confused and underwhelmed by the twist the story took, and how it's so obvious that she won't be permanently mad at Harvey. Like, stop getting my hopes up that they're gonna change the status quo for even a couple dozen issues. Sabrina sure was mad at Harvey to get Hilda mad at him. In the next story, Hilda says she's got 2 free passes to a movie with Sabrina. But despite being her aunt, she totally forgets that she needs a dentist appointment at 3:45. Hilda's a bit overly optimistic, assuming that they could still make it to the movie if they hurried. They see too many people in the waiting room, so Hilda uses magic to make someone scream for help, which scares everyone in the waiting room away, and immediately Sabrina's called. So I guess they were brainwashed into running away. She's really lucky she's a witch. The story ends with them getting to go to the movies, as Sabrina's not grateful for what she did, without saying that maybe those people actually needed to go to the dentist. In the next story, Harvey's head is buried in the trash because he saw something shiny in it. That looks like a parody of Harvey in this comic. He finds an old teapot. Sabrina says that he's embarrassing her, and he hopes this is Aladdin's lamp and rubs it, as Sabrina provides a possible explanation that the football players are using him as a tackling dummy at practice. Sabrina's wish is that Harvey stops being an idiot. She doesn't grant it though. She uses magic to make a genie actually come out of it. I was expecting Sabrina to grant his wishes directly. It turns out that the genie expects Harvey to grant his 3 wishes, or else he'll have his head. Why would Sabrina make that happen? So he runs into a pole, and he thinks he dreamed the whole thing. So what if the people driving by in cars saw all of that happen? Wouldn't Dell be mad about that too? I guess not. That's just one incident that can be wiped from everyone's memories. At least Sabrina's saying that he's embarrassing her with an explanation for why she decided to be cruel to him instead of actually granting his wishes. In the next story, someone skating on the ice says hi to someone he thinks is a cutie, and Hilda falls on the ice. At first I thought that he was talking to Hilda, which would be silly. Because she stupidly tells him not to help her up, he lets her go, as he insists that it wasn't his fault he bumped into her. Hilda casts a spell to make him trip on a log, and then she slips and falls, which makes him laugh. So she casts a spell to break the ice beneath his feet and send him into the pond, which logically would make him hypothermic right away. Sabrina tells her off and takes him out of the water and says that he's almost drowned. He was in the water for like a second. I guess her spell made him not freezing to death anymore. He wakes up as Hilda gives him mouth to mouth, which she could have not had to do because they have magic, and runs away screaming. I guess Hilda was just messing with them. It's amusing that Sabrina says, I had no idea it could be so effective. The first story is an explanation for why Hilda doesn't zap away winter from her house if it makes her accident prone. Dale immediately tells her off for attracting attention from mortals, and makes her house as hot as the jungle. How is Hilda stupid enough to try to do that? The second story is a waste of time. It's just an excuse for the writer to have Sabrina tell a bunch of jokes about Hilda's appearance and get her mad at Harvey. It seems like Harvey was out of character too. We never see how Harvey gets out of that situation, so that sucked. We already know that Hilda looks weird. At least Hilda looks interesting and recognizable. The third story is about Hilda making sure the wait in the waiting room for the dentist is really fast so that Sabrina can go to movies with her. That's relatable of her to want. But they wouldn't have left because they were waiting for their appointment. There's also a story where Harvey wants a genie out of a lamp he found in the trash, and because he's been embarrassing for Sabrina, she makes the genie demand wishes from him and chase him. So he runs into a pole and thinks he dreamt the whole thing. So that's out of character of her. And the final story is about a guy bumping into Hilda skating on a frozen pond, and Hilda getting revenge with magic. Which feels better than it could because he insists it wasn't his fault, which is just immature instead of simply apologizing, and lets her go, which was her fault. How did they spell klutz wrong?